Now, before we begin the video, I'd like to go ahead and give a quick shout out to a fellow content creator who is much more well established, considering this is the first video. His name's Hoops and Hip Hop. He's the one who provided the mix that I used for my intro and outro. He's an excellent content creator. I really highly recommend that you go check out his content. He has a lot of great mixes as well, so if you're not necessarily into Pokemon, but you like, a nice chill beat, go check him out. He's got those too. Now, without further ado, onward with the video. Woo!
Hey, Pokemon trainers and fans! Welcome to Tipsy Spinda. I'm your host, Tipsy, and today we're going to talk about my top 10 favorite Pokemon. That's right. That's how we're going to start this channel because, let's face it, it's kind of a staple. So let's get on to it. Number 10, Goodra. So the reason I picked Goodra for number 10, I like it. It's a dragon, but it's kind of a big booger. And when I was Googling images to put this, it was originally going to be number 9. But on Google, there's a lot of weird art about this one. So I decided to bump it up to back to number 10. The giant booger dragon. And, every time I did a Kalos playthrough, it was really fun to use the Goodra line. I remember catching a Goomy in the little swamp area, and it was like, whoa! And I was like, how the heck is this a dragon? But, yeah. Giant escargot thing. Kind of cool. Now, for number 9, the real number 9. We got Mamoswine at number 9. That's right. Why? Because, well, let's face it, he's a giant pig mammoth thing who's just freaking awesome. I remember when I did my first Sinnoh playthrough, Pokemon Platinum, trying to figure out how to get this thing. So I have like a Piloswine, right? And all I wanted to do is give me a freaking Piloswine, man. And it took me forever to figure out that I had to teach it Ancient Power and then level it up. So I was like, oh, okay. Man, I worked my butt off to get this thing. And now for number 8, we have Umbreon. Now, this one has a bit of a story behind it. So I started out with Pokemon on the original Pokemon Silver version. So I started with Gen 2. And I had an Eevee, and I was like, okay, how am I supposed to evolve this? I don't know where to find a Firestone, a Thunderstone, or a Waterstone. I'm like, what in the world? So I'm like using Eevee, trying to level it up, and it's like nighttime, right? Like 9 o'clock at night, it suddenly starts evolving. I'm like, what? It turns into an Umbreon. I was a kid. I didn't even know nothing about this. I hadn't watched the show in like forever, so I was still on Gen 1 when it comes to the show. Dude, I mean, this thing was like one of my favorites. Even today, it's still my favorite evolution of all of them. Sorry, but Espeon doesn't hold a candle to Umbreon. And look at this friggin' shiny. It almost blends in at night. Like, look at that. It's like, I mean, what's funny is that, Umbreon shiny kind of fits it even more than just its regular form, at least to me. Now, coming in at number 7, we got ourselves a Toxicroak. Yeah, Toxicroak is one of my favorite poison types, of all time. In fact, it took me forever to get Croagunk to evolve because for some reason I always ended up getting swept by a Psychic move or a ground type move or something like that, and it would drive me insane. And when I finally got it up to say level 50, it was like the big middle finger to the rest of the game. It's like, ha! I did it! I did it! I mean, and even, back then, I was also watching the anime, and when Saturn came out with the Toxicroak, I was like, what? It's like a big poison frog that punches you in the face with stingers. It's like, whoa. Alright, with that out of the way, time for number 6. So number 6 is, well, kind of one of the main reasons I love Gen 5. That's right, I am one of the rare few who thinks Gen 5 is one of the best games ever. Hydreigon is like the epitome of the coolest dragon ever. And what kind of makes it even better is that, yeah, it's a dark dragon, so you would think ground would be a problem, but lo and behold, it has levitate. So then ground type you ain't got no ground type problems. The only thing you really have to worry about is a fighting type. And in Gen 5, it wasn't really as big a problem as far as, in-game battles went. And every time it was on screen on the anime, I thought it was the coolest thing since sliced bread. And now for number 5, I'm kind of cheating here. It's not actually just one Pokemon. You see, I just love everything related to Zigzagoon. Like, I used to play like through Hoenn all the time, and I used to play Hoenn all the time. Zigzagoon would always have my back, like every time. So yeah, nostalgia kind of plays a massive role in how much I like this whole Galarian Zigzagoon line with Obstagoon, especially with Obstagoon. Like, when Galarian Linoon got its own evolution, I was like, whoa, what? And just look at his shiny. It's even more rock and roll, but that one kind of strikes me as more of a, kind of a glam rock or maybe a punk, while its regular form is more of a, you know, heavy metal, not thrash, but not death either, kind of like just heavy. And now for number 4. God, that was a terrible pun. We have the mighty Slowbro, the dumbest and yet coolest Pokemon ever. It, I really feel like that's not really a shelter though. Like, this needs to be its own thing. It needs to be like some special shelter thing. I know it was supposed to be originally. I really feel like it needs to be another evolution of Shelter, but no, Game Freak had to cut it. Every time I go through a Johto playthrough, I just have to get a Slowpoke when I make my stop at Slowpoke Well. I mean, let's face it. It has to happen. It's like a staple of the journey, man. I mean, look at this face. Look at this face. Can you really resist this face? Like, for real, can you? Look at that. Look at that. Look at it now. Onward to number 3. We have Flygon. Now, while I did start with Gen 2, I never actually had a Dragonite or even a Kingdra until long after that. It was during Gen 3 that I got my first Dragon type, and that was when I caught a Trapinch in the desert. And I worked my butt off to grind it and grind it and grind it until I got a Flygon. And this was the coolest thing ever. Although, let's face it, its regular form is better than the shiny. I mean, the shiny's cool and all, but this is like the bomb.com, man. And now to get to number 2. These puns just get worse. We have another excellent reason to love Gen 5, Zekrom. Zekrom is straight up the coolest dragon type ever. Now, while fire types are like my second favorite type, this dragon electric combination on a black dragon is like the perfect combination of awesomeness. Like, dude, in the anime, it just commands a presence of excellence to the point where I just stutter incoherently. Although I really feel like the one on the left needs to be the shiny one instead of the one on the right. I don't know why. I'm not a fan of adding green to where there should be blue. I feel like if it's gonna be Pokemon Black and White, make the black Pokemon white for the shiny and make Reshiram black. But no. That said, I still think Zekrom is excellent. And now for number 1, the first Pokemon I ever had on any game. And it is still my favorite to this day. I have a Pokemon card of this one from when it first came out. Like, no joke, the original Japanese card I have. And I have it in mint condition. Typhlosion from Pokemon Silver version. That's right, Typhlosion is excellent. I mean, the first Pokemon I ever chose was Cyndaquil. Sure, nostalgia to the max, but Cyndaquil is, like, totally awesome. And when they did that little Pokemon Chronicles thing with the anime, and they made it to where, like, you had, like, side characters having their stories played out, when they put the anime's version of Gold with Typhlosion, I was like, yes! That's how you do it! I mean, this right here was just pure art to a child like me. Although, in comparison between its old design and this newer 3D model thing, I'm not... it almost went back to 2, but let's face it, you can't go wrong with Typhlosion. It's a typhoon and an explosion. Typhlosion. I went and got Cyndaquil on my first go. First playthrough as a little 7-year-old kid. Dude. Nostalgia to the max. Yeah. Typhlosion is definitely my #1 favorite Pokemon of all time. No contest. Okay, that's been my top 10 favorite Pokemon. I hope you all liked it. If you do, feel free to give me a like, share, and subscribe. And a link to Hoops and Hip Hop, the provider for the mix of my intro and outro. A link to his channel will be in the description below. Hope you all enjoyed it, and see you guys next time. Doses!